I'm live apparently. So, is there a way to... Do I look a bit bright? I'm not sure. But hello everybody. So, we've got a couple of people out there already. Hello. Are you doing alright? So, I thought I'd do a live video this week. I hope you can hear me okay. Sorry if there's a bit of background noises, some people screaming outside. But yeah. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a live video. If you can hear me, give us a comment, give us a thumbs up and let me know, because I'm trying a different microphone. Hey AD, how's it going? So yeah, I was going to be releasing a how-to video this week, but they're a little bit sort of more involved. Thanks Keith. Hello Kieran, Colin, and Paul. Hello, thank you for the comments. So yeah, I was going to be doing a how-to video this week. I have actually done it, but I haven't finished editing it. It's a little bit more involved than the sort of normal project videos, I would say, and I'm just trying to make it look as good as I can and make it the best video I can for people really. So yeah, got a few how-to videos coming up. Thanks Paul. So we've got 5 to start with, and then we'll have some more coming after that. So quite looking forward to that. Yeah, the turbo bike is coming along. I've got to order some bits really, and sort of start collecting stuff together and stuff. So it's something I'll explain in one of the project videos, but it's sort of, making a choice. There's 2 items, do I go this route or this route? They're kind of the same but different at the same time, and I'm not sure which way to go with stuff, because obviously it's all new to me and it's quite a bit of learning. So I want to try and do things right the first time if I can, and obviously things hopefully don't go too wrong or anything. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, I thought I'd do an Ask Me Anything, an AMA. Seems like a popular thing to do on YouTube. So if you've got any questions, anything at all, really don't mind what they are, I'll answer them for you, and yeah, we'll go from there. So if you want to leave us a comment, and I'll answer the questions the best I can. So is it? Hey Dan, how you getting on with your bike? I know you got your Bandit project. So I'm not sure if I'm too bright. I've put a couple of lights on just because the main ones in the garage aren't very good, but technology and live streaming, I can't seem to focus or anything. What's going on here? Bear with me. Dance party. Yeah, it makes it look different, doesn't it? Normal. Done. Cool. So Paul, the plan with the TL, I think I said it in the first video for the how-to guides. Someone who's fairly local to us, motorbikebreakers.com, got the bike in, and they've actually lent it to us so we can have one bike to do the sort of how-to guides on. Just so it makes life easier with the parts and sort of, the continuity of it and stuff like that. Obviously, it's kind of hard doing the how-to guides because most people say, oh, how'd you do it on this bike, or how'd you do it on another bike? And obviously, you could do a million, you could probably do 1,000 videos on how to do, a chain and sprocket kit on every different bike. So yeah, so we decided just to have a TL. It's not too old, it's not too new, and yeah, so when it's done its usefulness, it will go back to the motorbike breakers, and I imagine it will get broken for parts, or they might put it back on the road or get it running. It's up to them really. But yeah, so I've got it on loan really. So yeah, it's you never know. We might do a bit of a project with it or do something with it. I'm not really a V twin man though. Bill does like a V twin, and he does need a new project. But yeah, we'll go from there. Right. So let me look at the comments. Bear with me. Oh, what have I done? Sorry guys, I've done a few live feeds, but they never seem to work the same. Right. Kieran, my missus is watching with me. She asks, how can a wife cope with a husband with a motorcycle addiction? I don't have a wife, so I probably wouldn't be able to answer that very well. Maybe try and find some interest in the motorcycles. Go to a couple of shows, or something related to it somehow. I'm not sure. I'm not the best person to answer that. Sorry, guys. I don't understand the question. Yeah, I'm the same, mate. How can you not like him? Dan, all back together now with a GSXR, with a 1216 kit, headwork, GSXR cams. Still running it in, but it's a different machine now. That's good to hear, Dan. Something I've done or wanted to do in the past was a 1216 kit. I accidentally bought a 1340 kit and managed to swap it for a 1216 kit, and that was for my old Bandit from years and years ago. There's a picture of it on the wall around the corner. I took the engine apart, took it out, and I never put it back together basically, and it sat there for sort of 4 or 5 years, just feeling sorry for itself. So I actually sold all of my Bandit stuff, bought a K1 GSXR 1000, rode that around for a little bit, decided I wanted a Bandit 12 again, so flogged that and got the Bandit 12 again. So yeah, let me know what it's like to ride, because I've never actually had a go on a 1216 Bandit, and it's something that I wouldn't mind doing in the future. So yeah, if you could let me know on that one, I would appreciate it. So, comments, here we go. Lots more comments. Simon in Barry Island. Hi, are you going to do a Honda Shadow 600 one day? Possibly. I'm not really a sort of cruiser guy, but I'm always open to options. Obviously, with the channel, obviously most of you guys watch fairly regularly, you'll know I am a Suzuki guy. I do love my Suzukis, but just for the sake of a bit of change, I wouldn't mind doing some other bikes, because otherwise I'll just get pigeonholed with Suzuki Bandits. Granted, I love them, and that's what I mainly do, but I'd like to try different stuff and do different things. There's a couple of guys behind the scenes with classicmotorbikes.net. Obviously, there's the website and the Facebook page and stuff like that. So there's a couple other guys, but obviously I'm like the face of YouTube. One of the guys, who's also called Ian, funnily enough, he's got an RD 350LC that he's got recently, and it's been sat for years because the engine's been blown up, and it's sort of like ripe for a bit of a restoration. He doesn't want to do it like concourse and just have it, too clean, which is kind of my theory on things. I think you can make them too clean and you don't want to use them, or you're worried about scratching them and stuff. So we've been talking about that, and I'm going to do that as a sort of project, basically. He's going to not give it to me, but I'm going to have his RD 350, and we're going to get it back on the road, rebuild the engine. We might do some paintwork on it, or like all the bearings will probably want doing, and the engine obviously needs a refresh, and I think it needs a set of exhausts and bits and bobs like that. But basically we want to get it riding. Ian wants to be able to ride the thing. I've actually never ridden any two strokes bigger than 180 cc's, so it'd be quite a cool thing. Hopefully Ian lets me have a go on it, to ride, sort of, to me, a big two-stroke. I've never really had a go on anything like that, so it'd be quite cool to actually rebuild it and then take it out for a ride, and stuff like that. And then Ian's going to have his bike to ride around, so it'll be a new project for all of you guys to watch, and obviously something a little bit different, being a two-stroke. and being a Yamaha, so it's not a Suzuki. So there we go. Let me go back through the comments. Yeah, so Simon, hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Obviously, we're quite a new channel, you know, been going about a year and a half. We're always open for options or suggestions and stuff like that, you know, always up for constructive criticism. So if you ever think of anything or, you know, got any advice for us, we're always open to stuff like that. So Colin, did you get the bike running on all 4 cylinders? So yeah, the turbo bike, which is just there, I did actually get it running on all 4 cylinders. When I was editing the video, I think I can't remember if I said this in the video at the end of the video or something along these lines. So basically, when I was editing the video, I was looking back at it and looking at the carbs. And with the carbs, the previous owners ultrasonically cleaned them. I'm not sure what he's done with them really. Well, I am now, but basically, where you balance the carbs, there's 3 screws because there's a set carb, which is number 2, I think it is, and then you set 3 and 4 together, and then you set 1 to 2, and then you set 1 and 2 to 3 and 4, if that makes sense. I think that's the way you do it. I'm pretty sure it is. So yeah, basically what he's done is he's like sort of tried to reset it, and I don't think he's had a carb balance. So what he's done is made all the butterflies in the carbs the same, or look the same. So basically, all the butterflies were shut. Now they shouldn't. They look shut, but they do have a tiny, tiny, tiny little gap under them for some air and some fuel to come through for the tick over. So because they were shut, it wasn't running on all the cylinders properly. Number 4 was the most closed up one, which it wasn't running on it. So I said this to Bill. Bill's my dad, in case you're wondering. A couple of people do ask from time to time. I think I have responded. And I said to Bill, I said, like, this is why I was editing, because I normally edit on a Sunday. I said, if you're not doing anything, I said, do you fancy going and doing a couple of turns on the, you know, the screws for the balancing on the carbs? Because, you know, I explained it and showed him the video. And he's, oh, yeah, I'll go and have a look. In Bill's words, he doesn't talk much, does he? And we did that, and he said, right, ready to go. And I come back downstairs, hit the button, and it started up, and it instantly did about 6,000 or 7,000 RPM. That was like its tick over. There was no choke or anything like that. So I managed to get my hand under the carb and adjusted it before the engine got too hot. Managed to pull the tick over down to sort of 1100 RPM, and it ran beautifully. It runs really, really nice. I decided to have a quick drive around our driveway just to you know, see what it was like, and because I've never actually ridden a bike, so I don't know if it's got any gears, which I know is bad when you're buying bikes, and obviously I explained that in the first video for the turbo bike. But yeah, it's got first and second. I don't know if it's got third or fourth or anything. Obviously, it's just around the driveway. But yeah, so bit of a long-winded way of saying, yes, it does run on 4 cylinders. And it was just like a sort of quick little fix that Bill was quite happy about going down and altering and doing. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think it was Adam, who watches, regular viewer, had a suggestion about putting the bike on the dyno. Obviously, turbo in the bike, we're going to be increasing the power, and he suggested, why don't we dyno the bike before we start doing any, you know, performance upgrades, just to see how much it's got, and then, you know, after we've turboed it, put it back on the dyno, put it on the same one, and then we can see, you know, what sort of increase, if we had a 50% increase in power, or, you know, dyno numbers aren't, you know, the be all and end all of stuff. It's not why I'm doing it really. I just want it to be, you know, quicker than a standard Bandit. The numbers I'm really not too bothered about, but you know, it's always good to have references and, you know, see if it's working as well as it probably should or could do. And obviously the air fuel ratio needs to be correct so you don't damage the engine. So right, let me get back to the comments, guys. I have to keep tapping the screen, innit? Doesn't always cut. There we go. So, Simon, Colin, Kieran, have I ridden the new Katana? So, I haven't actually. I did pop down to my local Suzuki dealership in Peterborough, which is Wheels Motorcycles. They had I think Suzuki did it across all the dealers. They had like a launch night. They had the new Katana there. And I went to have a look. I hadn't seen it before, to be fair, but I just thought, I'll go and have a look around and, chat to some other people about it. I actually quite like the look of them. I like the old Katanas, and these new ones, they're not a Katana, and, there's loads of talking about them and stuff, oh, it's not like the old one. And I mean, it's a retro bike. It's like the Z900 RS that Kawasaki brought out. It's not like the old Z1s. But, the styling's pretty close, and you can see it is a modern sort of version of it. And I think the Katana is a modern version of it. In the same respect that, a Katana was a GSX 1100 ET with a different body kit on, basically. It's Suzuki. I think calling them a part spin special is a little bit harsh. But obviously, the reason I love Suzukis is lots of parts fit lots of Suzukis, which is great for when you're modifying them, because some stuff fits off of other bikes, and stuff like that. And obviously Suzuki have done the same sort of thing with a Katana. It's basically a GSX 1000S with a different body kit on, and I don't really have any issue with that. I mean, like, a Bandit 12 essentially is a naked GSX R1100, but with a cheaper steel frame. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I'd love to have a go on one. I haven't ridden many modern-ish bikes, I'd say. I used to work in the bike trade, like in a bike shop, and I'd say I've ridden most bikes up to around 2008, and then past then I haven't actually ridden a lot of bikes since 2008. So I don't have a great deal of experience with them. But yeah, I'd love to have a go on one and see what one's like. A couple of times I've gone, oh, I'd probably have one of those. But the only thing, and a lot of people have mentioned it, is they do have quite a small fuel tank. And as a friend of mine's recently bought a BMW GS 1200, he likes doing long trips, and I like going on long trips with him, to be fair. But because the tank's small, obviously I'd be filling up fairly regularly, so that was a bit of a concern. But yeah, to be fair, I'm probably not going to go out and buy a brand new bike. I like my old ones, and I like tinkering with them more than anything. And obviously, modern bikes have got electronics on, which I think is the next comment. So bear with me, guys. Bear with me. Lots of questions, which is good. I'm loving all your questions. So where did we go? So Paul, yeah. So I was kind of following on to that from Kieran's Katana question. Do you think all the modern bikes have too many electronic riding aids on them? I'd say I do and I don't. Obviously, I believe with motorcycles, it's all about control and sort of knowing the bike and stuff like that. If you're riding them and stuff. I mean, rider aids are there. It's new technology. It's moving forwards, which I think is good. Like cornering ABS is something that someone was explaining to me, where you can basically go into a corner and grab the front brake and you won't crash, which I think is incredible. But I'm not sure, in my mind, I could rely on something like that. I mean, I think they're good for like new riders who may be a bit nervous about that sort of thing. Obviously, the power modes, you can select how much power you've got. So if you're out in the torrential rain, or it's a bit icy or slippery, you're on a GSX R1000. Do you want 200 horsepower all the time? Well, tone it down to 150, and, it might keep you out of a little bit of trouble in bad weather or something. So I can see the positives for them. Obviously, like you say, they've got a lot of stuff on. For someone like myself, who mainly mucks around with old bikes that have carbs, the newest bike I've ever owned is probably my K1 GSXR. 1000. I've had a couple of those as well because I do quite like them, but then I always think I prefer a Bandit. They're probably the newest bikes I've got, and you can get Yoshimura boxes to tune them and stuff, which is, you know, a bit like flashing them by these modern standards. But I mean, something I'd love to do, you know, if anyone could ever recommend someone to me, or, you know, if anyone's got any ideas, I'd love to learn about sort of like the modern ECUs. I know, you know, I'm not a computer wizard by any means, but like I'd love to learn, you know, the sort of ideas behind it and how they modify things, because obviously a lot of tuners can flash the original ECU, and they can, like, I don't suppose they're breaking into them because it's already there, but you know, they can access the ECU, and some bikes you can turn launch control on and turn things off, and you know, I'd love to sort of just learn a bit more about it because it's something I don't know. I love to learn things and stuff. So, you know, if someone could explain how it works and the differences, or you know, how much access you can get on one thing or another, I'd love to go and learn something like that. Obviously, I realise that normally it's at places where it's their business and they're busy and they've got work to do and stuff. But if someone would be willing to let me come down for the day, maybe, or an afternoon or an evening or a weekend that's good for them, you know, I'd love to come down and chat about it. Maybe we could do a video. We could all do a bit of learning then. So yeah, something like that would be pretty interesting, I'd say. So right, hopefully I'm not rambling too much. If I am, just say I do try and keep an eye on the comments. Right, so hi Andrew, how's it going? No worries, Simon. So Andy Correll, what BHP are you looking for out of the Bandit 12? Is it the TD04 turbo you'll be using? Also, favourite tool for the man cave? Right. Okay, lots of questions. So, like I was saying earlier with the Bandit, I'm not 100% bothered by the power figures. I mean, I'd say the main reason I'm making the Bandit a bit quicker is because back in 10 years ago, say, when I was riding Bandit 12s, they weren't the quickest thing out there, but you know, there wasn't a lot that made you look silly. Whereas when I find when I'm riding now, especially modern cars, you know, 10 years ago, there wasn't a car that had come past a Bandit 12 up to the national speed limit, let's say. Whereas now, Golf GTIs, like, will keep up with you to the national speed limit, which, you know, I'm not a boy racer, but it'd just be nice to not have cars keep up with me, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm sort of saying it right or whatnot, but yeah. So basically, I'd just like to be able to, you know, get to the national speed limit quicker than most other stuff. And obviously, technology's moved on. We was talking about electronics. Sports bikes have moved on. When I was, you know, last riding bikes, the K5, K6 was probably one of the latest sports bikes with like 160 horsepower. And now they're like 200 horsepower, which doesn't sound a lot, but you know, on a bike, 40 horsepower is a fair amount. So, without me stop rambling, I mean, quite a few people have turboed Bandits, and they do that sort of stuff with them now. And lots of people trying to hit 200 horsepower, which I think is like a cool round number. But you know, when people ask you, oh, how much power has it got? You know, you can say, oh, it's 200. Doesn't sound quite as good as 185 or 190. If it made 170 horsepower, I'd be happy, as long as it's quicker than obviously when it was standard. But yeah, 200 just sounds like a cool round number, if that makes sense. Let me look at the rest of the question. So yeah, obviously I think I've said this in the turbo videos. You know, like I'm not sort of restricted. Like I can't, you know, I don't have one chance to make a turbo kit and that's it. So I'm going to start out with a TD04 13T, I think's the one, which is off a Subaru Impreza. I'm going to start out because a lot of people seem to use those on Bandits, especially, you know, as their first turbo and stuff. If I do it and think, oh, I want a little bit more, or I want it to work differently, I want to learn more about turbos and how they work, I can always upgrade it. As you might have seen with the channel, I've been doing my TIG welding videos. I've bought a TIG welder so I can make my own turbo kit. So if I, you know, I'm riding it 6 months ago, oh, I want a different turbo on it, or the turbo goes wrong or something like that, I can make a new turbo kit, or, you know, a new set of headers with a different turbo. And that was kind of the idea behind getting the TIG welder, is learning and being able to do things myself. So as opposed to having to go somewhere, which I've got no issues with, I was almost going to buy a, you know, like a ride-in, ride-out kit, but I just wanted to learn more about it, and, you know, and stuff like that. So hopefully, you know, I can upgrade from that turbo in the future. So I think I'm rambling a bit, guys. I'm probably talking a bit fast as well. But so, favorite tool for the man cave. So, it's a bit of a tough one. That is a bit of a tough one. I tend to not use too many fancy tools if I can help it, but I also do like a good tool. So if you can see it in the... No, you can't, the bike's in the way. So in the background, there is actually a shot blasting machine. Now, I've had it about 6 months or so, and I think I've used it twice, which, you know, I didn't buy it new. I got a deal with a friend. And I've always wanted one, but I've never, like, you know, the money that they cost brand new, I thought, am I ever going to use it enough? And turns out I'm not going to use it very often. But it's a handy thing to have, and I think I'm probably going to use it more in the future. But it just cleans stuff up beautifully. I've cleaned up some old spanners and a bit of pipe, and just, you know, had a bit of a play with it. The finish is lovely. And it just, you know, does a good job, takes all the paint, corrosion off, stuff like that. So I think in the future I'm going to use it more, and I think it's a really good piece of kit. So if I want to paint an engine casing, and it's got, like my Bandits, someone's painted the engine casings and it's gone all crazy and horrible, as opposed to sitting there and using, you know, some sort of paint stripper, or, you know, sanding it down or anything like that, I can just take it off, shot blast it. It's almost ready for paint then, you know, clean it off and paint it, or get it powder coated, something like that. So, yeah, I'd say that's my favourite tool. I have to say my second favourite tool is my brake piston removal kit. So, if you watch next week's how-to video, I actually use it and sort of show you how it works. I've used it in the GSXR videos as well. And basically, there's like a socket with 4 slots in, and then this thing you tighten up and it opens out the 4 slots. You put that in the piston, the brake piston. You do it up really tight, and then there's like a slide hammer attachment, and you can pull, you know, jammed in caliper pistons, and it works really well. And it also works quite well for wheel bearings as well. So it's like one of them sort of multi-function tools. I've never seen anyone use it for wheel bearings. You know, for years, I think if anyone's worked on their bike before and done wheel bearings, you'll know you have to get a screwdriver. Sometimes you have to bend the end a little bit to get it to reach in, and you're sitting there trying to, you know, hit it at all different angles, and it's just, you know, a bit of a frustrating job. And yeah, so this tool does a couple of jobs, and it just makes life that little bit easier. So I think I paid about £35 for it off eBay, but I think the retail price was like 80 quid. I was like, oh, 35, I'll buy one at that. But you know, like, for a tool that if you're going to work on your bikes, or you've got a couple of bikes, or you know you're going to service things regularly, like, that's one of those tools that I'd definitely say is worth getting. And I mean, I've had that for, it's got to be 10 years now, and I've probably used it 20 times, and it just makes life so much easier. So, right, back to the comments. Where was I? Addy. Right, Colin, fantastic, Ian. Thank you very much. Andrew, hi, I really like the videos on the Bandit, really interesting to watch. Thank you, Andrew. Obviously, with the Bandit videos, they're not really a how-to as such, although I do explain what I'm doing and, you know, how you would do it. But yeah, I'm just trying to show what I'm doing on my bike, really. Obviously, I love making videos. I've always have done, even when I had mopeds. And I love my Bandits, as you can probably tell in the videos. You know, if it was something that didn't really interest me much. Hondas maybe. Sorry, I know someone wanted me to look at a Honda Shadow, but yeah, like a friend of mine, he's a Honda guy. Like he's had a couple of Suzukis. I tried to pull him over to the dark side, but he's a Honda guy through and through. He keeps buying Hondas, buys other stuff, doesn't like them, buys another Honda. So yeah, I'm not really whoop, don't know what happened there. So anyway, I've lost my train of thought. I do apologise. So let me get back to the comments. So yeah, glad you like the videos, Andrew. If you ever got any ideas or want to see anything in particular, I'll try my best to show it off. Colin, the new Katana is a monster. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing when people try and copy something from the past and make a modern equivalent of it. I quite like my Japanese stuff. Like I like my Japanese bikes. I quite like my Japanese cars. I've never owned one, but actually, tell a lie, I owned a Nissan once, but it was just a crappy little Nissan. But I love my Japanese cars and like the Mark IV Supra. If you've been watching Top Gear tonight, I love those. I'd absolutely love a Mark IV Supra. And the new one they've brought out, it's not really a Japanese car, is it? It's a BMW, which is a bit of a shame. It's a bit like the Katana, it's not the same as the old one, but they're just trying to make it similar. And there we go. So, Adam Walton, or you could wear white pants and measure skid marks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Adam Walton, or you could wear white pants and measure skid marks. Need a little bit more context with that one, but okay. So Colin, another question from Colin. Avon tyres are fantastic. Have you tried them? Yes, I actually do quite like Avons. The first ever pair of Avons I tried was the Avon Storms, which was quite a few years ago now. And I also tried an Avon Azaro, which is sort of before the Storms, but they were kind of getting phased out and the Storms were coming in. And I do remember they smoke really well when you do a burnout. Not that I do a lot of burnouts, but they do smoke really well, which was really strange. But yeah, I love my Avons. I'm trying to think. My previous bike, which was a K2 GSX-R 1000, I had Avons on that. Bill has got Avons on his Bandit 12. And then what did we else? There's a few stickers around. Bear with me. So Avons, and then got some Bridgestones. Those were off of Bill's little B120. A couple of Pirellis, which were off the GSX-R. And we've got some Avons. So yeah, I quite like Avons. They always seem to be pretty reasonably priced. I know they're a British company, or they were a British company. I'm not sure if they still make them here, but I do remember they used to be anyway. So yeah, it's pretty cool to use British stuff that's made over here when you can. But yeah, I generally do like my Avons. When I had my old Bandit 12 and I used to do the odd track day and bits and bobs like that, and I used to use second-hand scrubs or track tyres or part warns. Everyone used to love the Super Corsa Pro Pirellis. They were worn on the outside, and sometimes they still had the knobbles around the middle where they'd done a couple of sessions on track. A guy used to buy a lot of them off. He said, try these Avons, see what you think. And I put them on the Bandit 12, and my God, they stuck to the road. They warmed up really quick. They never squirmed about. At no point did I ever think, we're running out here. They were just absolutely amazing. But I would say they were pretty new around the middle. They'd not done a lot of miles. The only thing is, I got 400 miles out of the rear before the canvas was showing. I put it on a Friday night when I worked at the bike shop. Went out for, probably did 40 or 50 miles Friday night. Did a couple hundred miles on the Saturday. Sunday I did 150 miles, and we always used to go to a particular roundabout and hang around. And I got there and someone said, "Do you know there's canvas showing?" I'm like, "No, I've only just put this tyre on." And it turns out canvas was showing, but luckily someone come and picked me up in a van. But yeah, they didn't last long, but they were really, really good tyres. So, right. Just before I look at another comment, the Bandit, I put some brand new tyres on. They're Bridgestones. I just looked at what they were. What are they called? BT023s. And I'm quite impressed with them so far. They seem to do the job. Obviously, they're touring tyres. They're nothing too sporty. I don't ride too hard, not like I was when I was younger. Not that I'm that old, but yeah, they're perfectly good tyres. I think I've done about 1,500 miles on them so far, and you know, they don't appear to have really worn much. You know, they don't look like they're really low or anything like that. And so far, they seem to have worn evenly. In the past, I've had issues with Bridgestones where they wear strange on one edge. I can't remember what tyre it was. It's been a few years since I worked in the trade. But there was like a particular one that just used to seem to wear strange all the time. But yeah, these are doing really well, so I'm quite enjoying those so far. So, right. Comments. Let's have a go. How do I make it? Right. IBZ6969. I have a question. Del Boy's Garage or the Workshop? Also, will you ever do a collab with another channel in the future? Yeah, I'd love to do a collaboration. It's something I've actually been thinking about. Obviously, I'm quite a small channel, so you know I'm not sure many people would want to collab with me. You know, do something together. But yeah, I'm definitely open to that sort of thing. If you've got any suggestions on the sort of thing you'd like to see, I'd love to know. Obviously, like I say, it's something I've been thinking about, but I'm not 100% sure I know what I'd do, if that makes sense. You know, what type of video or what sort of thing you'd like to see, really. So, yeah, not sure. I'd definitely do a collab with probably anyone, really. You know, obviously we'd have to talk about it and discuss what we're doing. But yeah, I'm definitely open for the idea. So if you can think of any YouTubers you'd like to see me do a collab with, let me know, and let me know the sort of video you'd like to see, really. So yeah. Right, next question. Get the comments back right. Have I ever put diesel into the tank? I have in my van. No, that's not what you're asking. So I've never actually put diesel in the tank of my bike. But again, this is backlighting, working in the motor trade days and stuff. Working in a bike shop. It was a pretty cool bike shop, still is. I pop down there, I do my tyres every now and again, bikes and trikes, if you've watched some of the videos. We used to occasionally shut the shop early on a Saturday and go for a ride out and stuff like that, which is, you know, it's pretty cool like that. One of the guys, I can't remember his name, but he had a GSX R1100, a white one. Me and him got in a, I wouldn't say trouble, but there's a story that I want to tell soon. And funnily enough, it's something I'm thinking about doing, is some like motorbike stories for the channel. Obviously, I know a couple of interesting people. Hopefully you guys find me interesting. You must if you keep watching the channel. But you know, I think everyone's got a couple of bike stories, really, some interesting ones or something unusual. So I'd say I've got one or two. So I was thinking about actually making a video on a couple of, sort of reliving a couple of old bike stories, like you do when you're down at a bike night, really, and you know, sort of chewing the fat and talking about stuff. So yeah, this guy's gone and filled his bike up, ready for a ride out. At the petrol station around the corner, ridden to the bike shop, pulled up, and there's this big old sort of cloud of white smoke behind him. I'm like, his first thought is, oh dear, that's not good. So he pulls up outside the shop, and he's like, oh, it's smoking, like, what's wrong with it? It's only just had an engine rebuild. And I was like, well, maybe it's not worked out, or maybe you've been thrashing it. So he puts it on the stand, goes to turn the key off, and obviously being an old carbed bike that's gravity fed, you know, there's no fuel pump to turn off. He turns the ignition off, and it keeps running. Now, obviously, diesels run on compression as opposed to a spark. So when he's turned the spark off, the engine's just kept running. Or kept, yeah. Sorry if I say the English not too proper, but yeah. So basically, it kept going. We stalled it, and we went, that's really strange. And I was quite young at the time, and I'd never experienced anyone putting diesel in a petrol vehicle. But the boss came out and we said, it's smoking and it won't turn off. And he's like, what have you just filled it up with? We opened the tank, definitely diesel. So we had to drain his tank, drain his fuel, and then fill it up with some fresh fuel. But we still managed to go out riding that day, which was pretty cool. So yeah, he sort of broke down in the right place, really. But yeah, a little bit different. Obviously, so much white smoke coming out the back of the bike. And for me, the funniest thing was turning the sorry, it makes me chuckle. So yeah, turning the ignition off, and it just kept running. So yeah, okay. More questions. So AD, thanks for the reply. Thanks for the replay. And that tool sounds like something to look into. Yeah, I definitely say it's a tool worth looking at. Have I put it away? Yeah, I'll put it away and there's like loads of boxes on top of it. But yeah, like I say, if you watch the video next week, the how-to guides, it's all in there. And if I don't explain it enough, let me know. I can always do another live video and show you the tool a bit more, really. So yeah, right. Diesel replay. Which previous owned bike do you miss the most? This is kind of tough. I'd say I haven't actually owned that many bikes. I mean, it's probably more than some people. It's definitely less than a lot of people I know, or a few people I know. But I actually quite miss my scooters, you know, being young and all that sort of stuff. I had after obviously you've watched the video, have a search for an Italjet Formula 125. So it's a twin cylinder two-stroke. These things will do 90 mile an hour. Now that's not, you know, me being 17 and going, oh yeah, my scooter does 90 mile an hour. These things were, I think, 19 horsepower, which they were made before there was a restriction in power on 125s. They restricted them to sort of, I think it was 15 horsepower when I was riding on L plates, but this thing's like 19 horsepower. They would do 90 mile an hour, and they had 100 mile an hour on the clock. It was bright orange, looked unusual, sounded really strange as well, being a twin cylinder two-stroke, and it was twist and go. I'd definitely say I miss that the most. Big bikes, I can actually probably run you through the amount of big bikes I've owned since I passed my test when I was, how old was I? I was 3 years. I was 19 when I passed my big bike test. So I'm a bit, bleh. My first ever big bike was a Bandit 600. 6 months after, because it was a 33 horsepower license I was on back then. Obviously, it's all changed and stuff now. I was on a 33 horsepower license, so I had to get that restricted. I got a little bit bored of it, and I was quite new to sort of big bikes and stuff, and I probably didn't treat that in the nicest way. I'd hit the starter button, and as I was letting go of the starter button because it started, I was like letting the clutch out in first gear, so I wasn't letting it warm up, and it was getting tired and stuff. So I got bored of it really, and then I was still 19 years old. I bought a Suzuki TL1000S. I bought this off my boss at the bike shop, and it was quite a special one. It had a big bore Yoshimura system on it. You know, the engine had been played with. It had a Yoshimura clutch cover. Had wavy disc. It had like every bolt on you could imagine for it. A red one, of course. Got to have a red TL. I bought that off of him again on a 33 horsepower license. I had to get a restrictor kit for it. But this was making really good horsepower for a TLS. It made 136 horsepower at the back wheel. And I think owning that, I discovered I'm really not into V-twins. I love the noise, you know, I sort of love the torque of them as such, but I don't really like to live with V-twins really. So the next bike I bought, while I had the TL, funnily enough, was a Bandit 1200. I bought it while I was on holiday from work. It come into the bike shop and they rang me up and said, "Oh mate, Bandit 12 just come in. I know you want one. Come and have a look." So I come in and bought it. It was green, and I think it had 45,000 miles on the clock. It was quite high mileage at the time because bearing in mind this was 12 years ago, at least 12 years ago, probably longer. So it was, it was quite high mileage at the time. And I bought that, and then I rode that around until I was I give up on bikes, but I kind of sort of faded away from them. I left my job in the bike trade, and sort of drifted away from them a little bit, and it sat there in a million pieces again. That was what I was going to put a 1216 kit on I was talking about earlier. And yeah, so that, and then what else have I bought after that? Oh, in between the TL and the Bandit, or sort of while, because sometimes owned two bikes at the same time, which I know is a bit greedy, but I did have a K2 GSX-R 1000, a black and red one, which I really, really liked. But at the time, it was like that bit faster than a Bandit 12. And it was a bit too sports bikey for me. Like, as much as I love going around corners and stuff like that, it was like quite a new experience. I'd put flat bars on it as well because I'm not into clip-ons. I'm not designed for it, although I was a bit skinnier back then. And yeah, I had that for a little while. Did a track day on it and was like, yeah, it's not for me. Sold it. Kept the Bandit 12. Then I sold the Bandit 12. Bought a K2 GSX-R 1000. Again, flat barred it. Rode it around for a bit. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed the speed, but I really wanted a Bandit again, and I prefer the handling of the Bandit. So yeah, I've got my Bandit 12 that obviously is the Bandit, a clock Bandit, and then I've bought the champagne, or the silver coloured one, which is the Turbo Bandit, or will be the Turbo Bandit. So that is basically all of the bikes I've owned. Like big bikes and stuff. Obviously, because I worked in the bike trade, I've ridden a lot of stuff, or I'd like to think I've ridden a lot. Obviously, you have to test ride stuff, and I was an MOT tester and stuff. So there was a lot of bikes I'd ridden because of that. So yeah, I'd like to think I'm well ridden, if that makes sense. I've ridden a lot of bikes, but I've not actually owned a lot. So wicked. Right. So back to the comments. Sorry if it's taken a while to get through them. I'm loving it, how many comments we've got. I was a bit worried I'd have like 4 comments and we'd have like a 10-minute long video, but I can't believe we've been going 47 minutes now. So, long rides with your BMW and GS friend, camping as well. Maybe a video on camping kit if you do. So, yeah, I'm more than up for camping. I have actually talked to him, or rather he's talked to me. He wants me to go and do the North Coast 500 in Scotland. He's not really a camping kind of guy. I'm not sure if he's watching. He does watch some of my videos. I'm not sure if he is a camping kind of guy. He's more of a hotel guy. But I'll see if I can persuade him to do the camping side of it. But yeah, if I did something like that, I'd definitely make some videos on it. And Scotland's beautiful. I've watched a few videos of people doing the North Coast 500 and stuff, and it's just amazing. So yeah, he might even be on the videos. I'll see what he says. He's quite a funny guy, really. But yeah, could be something interesting to do. The thought has crossed my mind. But I think with work at the minute and stuff and doing the videos, I'm sort of like here, there, and everywhere. So I think I'd have to sort of maybe like book a week off. Like plan it really well and bits and bobs like that. So yeah. Kieran, are you a gamer? Have you played the Ride series on PS4? Great games with loads of bikes to choose from. Perfect for wet winter days. I've never really been much of a gamer. I've had a couple of consoles over the years, quite like Grand Theft Auto. Used to like Point Blank and Time Crisis. But no, I've never really been into games that much. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I think it's an amazing platform, and anyone can go out there and make content. I mean, I think it's amazing. When I was 16, if I wanted anyone to see a video, I had to put it on a tape or maybe even a DVD or a CD, and like give it to them. and we used to make sort of videos of us riding mopeds around and doing silly stuff. Um, but now, millions. I know I don't get millions, and I'm really happy that I've got 1,500 subscribers now. I think it's absolutely incredible that many people find what I do in my garage interesting, and can tolerate me on video. So I think it's incredible. But yeah, I just think it's amazing with YouTube. And you say wet winter days. So as I've got older, I think I enjoy working on the bike as much as I enjoy riding them. When I was a bit younger, I liked working on bikes, but I'd much prefer to be out riding them. Whereas now, I think I enjoy probably doing a gearbox as much as I do, doing 150 miles in a day and going to the coast. So, a bit strange, I know. But yeah, for me, winter time is like all about the projects. When I did the first series of Bandit O'Clock, which is been coming out on Wednesday evenings now on this channel, it was on another channel. Like when I did that, I did it in the middle of summer, so like the bike spent half the week stripped down, or I didn't get it ready for the weekend because some parts weren't here or something went wrong. So I barely rode the thing all the way throughout the summer, and then sort of finished the series as winter started, and then went, oh, it's winter time. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't like riding in the wet. The only time I've ever crashed, and it was only mopeds, but it's the only time I've ever come off two wheels is in the wet. I don't enjoy it. If I get caught out in it, yeah, I'll keep going. But if it's a wet day, I'm not going out. I'm not afraid to say it either. I don't enjoy it. That's why I think most of us use motorcycles is we enjoy them. I used to ride my scooters and stuff throughout the wet, and even my Bandit 600. I used to ride in the wet, but as I've got older, it's more of an enjoyment thing as opposed to I need transport. So if you don't enjoy something, why are you doing it? That's my theory. So, and I don't enjoy riding in the wet, so I don't do it. So there we go. Right, lots of rambling. Oh, instead of dyno testing Adam Walton, yeah, I get you now. Yeah, or you could wear white pants and measure skid marks. Yeah, I don't think I'd get any skid marks riding a standard Bandit 12. So, yeah, I can imagine I'd get some riding a Turbo Bandit, but we'll see. Some people I've spoken to have said, they are quick, but they're not like scary, But I think that all depends on what turbo you pick and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I like your idea. Sorry, I didn't catch on what you meant with that straight away. Colin, have a chat with TMF. Oh, I always say this wrong. I'm terrible with like English. I've failed all my English exams as well. I make videos and don't write things down. Yeah, the Missenden Flyer. Yeah, quite like his videos. He's quite a happy chap, and he's a pilot, so he'd probably get on quite well with Bill. Bill used to do a bit of flying and stuff. So yeah, I'll have a chat with him. I think he's quite far away from here, but that's what riding is all about, isn't it? So right, next one. Andy Fawn. Hi mate. Can you do repairs to a small tear in a carb diaphragm? New ones are 32 quid each. I'm not sure. Any one I've ever come across, and I haven't come across many tears in carb diaphragms before. I've just replaced them, whether it's for a second-hand one. Obviously, I've worked in the trade and bike shops and stuff, and smaller bike shops. Where they do a bit of motorbike braking, and if we've had a scrap set of carbs that's got some good bits on, you keep stuff like that around, and the time when you don't want to spend 32 quid on a carb diaphragm, you've got a second hand one you can put in and it'll do the job. The £32, is that new? Is that genuine? Or is it a pattern part? Obviously, you can see the logo in the back. MSP have sponsored the how-to videos. They do genuine parts, and they are based in Europe. And I've noticed that they are quite a bit cheaper than buying stuff from genuine places over here, if that makes sense. So, might be worth checking them out. seeing if it works out a little bit cheaper, even though it's from Europe, and their postage is really quick. When I've ordered bits from them, it's a day or two, which is I think is pretty cool. These days you can get things from a country in Europe that would take you 12 hours to drive to. You can get stuff posted out to you the next day, which is pretty good. I'm not sure how repair would go because obviously they're rubber and I mean you might better try some super glue, but then the super glue might be more rigid than the rubber is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I hate to say it, I think you might have to spend some money on a new one. I hate spending money on new stuff sometimes, but sometimes you got to do it. And with carbs and certain items, seals and bits and bobs, and sometimes I don't think you can beat genuine. Sometimes, I'm all one for saving a pound here and there, but where's the microphone gone? Hopefully you can hear me a bit better now. Yeah, I'm all for saving a couple of quid, but sometimes it's just not worth saving that couple of quid. You're better off having something that fits better or is within tolerance and stuff like that. With the turbo bike, again, trying to pick a turbo, one of the things I'm doing or thinking about doing is, do I buy a genuine turbo, second-hand turbo off of a Subaru Impreza, or do I buy a Chinese-made equivalent? Some people hate Chinese stuff. I don't hate it, but over the years I've kind of seen, there's good stuff, there's bad stuff. The stuff's getting better, I would say, but it's mainly about quality control. Is the company just trying to churn stuff out and make money, or are they actually, seem interested in the product, if that makes sense? So, and is there some quality control there? So, I'm trying to make that decision with stuff now. So, but sometimes you can't beat genuine. So, yeah, okay, stop rambling here. Answer some questions. GSX 750 in 1992. Love it. 1992. Wicked. Would that be the last of the oil cooled ones? I think it might have gone to water cooled then. I'm not sure. It was sort of like that changeover period. So I do like GSXRs. I do like riding them from time to time, but I just put flat bars on everything. Bill's I've won Bill round to the idea because he's had a few sports bikes over the years, and he's always moaned about his bad back and stuff. Whereas he's K5 now, and his K4 he had before that. He's put flat bar kits on, like top yoke kits, as opposed to just drilling a hole in the top yoke. He likes to do things properly, which is the way to do it sometimes. Sometimes there's cheaper alternatives, like we were just discussing. But he buys a nice top yoke kit and a proper nice handlebars and all the lines and bits and bobs like that. So he loves his K5. He thinks it's an amazing bike, but with clip-ons he would never have ridden it. But with the flat bars, he absolutely loves it. So I've lost my train of thought again. I do apologise, guys. I get a bit rambly and talk forever. So if you ever see me in public and say hello to me, be warned, I can talk forever. As we're about to hit 50 or just gone past 58 minutes. I can't believe people have been watching for that long. So, right. Couple last comments, I reckon, and then I might call it a day. Because it'll be nearly 10 o'clock and I've got to get up early in the morning. So, hey, Darren, how's it going? I haven't spoke to you for a little while. I know you was doing you had your Bandit, and then you've got your Phaser 600s with your upside down front end. I remember you were trying to sort the speedo out. So let me know how you get on, or if you've managed to sort that out yet. So, evening, Shroomy. Do you watch Del Boy's Garage? And what do you think of his methods and skill set? I do watch his stuff occasionally if it's something that interests me. I'm what do you call it? Losing my train of thought again. So, some stuff will interest me, some stuff won't, and I'll sort of I'm easily changing my mind. What I like one minute, what I don't the next. So I just sort of 1 minute I'll watch a load of his videos and then I won't watch them for months, and then I'll go, oh, what's that? And then I'll go back to it and stuff like that. So, I mean, he does his own thing. it's very similar to what I do, to be fair, I think. Do you guys think? You know, if you've watched Del Boy's videos, are mine similar to his? I'm not sure, really. Obviously, everyone's got their own way of doing things. Some people are probably watching my stuff and screaming at the screen going, what are you doing? You know, it's each to their own, really. That's why with the how-to videos, I'm trying to make them correct as possible, because obviously I wouldn't want to give anyone any false information or the wrong way to do things or anything that could hurt themselves or damage themselves or anything like that. So with those, because they are, you know, it says how to in the title, I want them to be as correct as possible, you know, and not give anyone, not intentionally give anyone any misleading information that could, you know, make them hurt themselves or hurt others or anything at all like that. So that's why they're sort of taking a bit of time. I just want to make sure they're definitely right. But yeah, you know, I mean, Del Boy loves his projects and he loves his rat bikes and stuff like that. I wouldn't say I love rat bikes, but like I prefer a bike that's maybe got some scratches or, you know, it's cosmetically damaged, or, you know, it's not perfect cosmetically, because, you know, I've had a couple of nice bikes. My red and black K2 GSXR 1000, that was mint, you know, like there wasn't a mark on it. I wouldn't say it was like brand new, but, you know, it was properly cleaned for my standard of bike at the time. I did a track day on it and I was just so scared I was going to crash it or scratch it, or, you know, I just like, and that's one of the reasons I got rid of it. I was just like, oh, I don't use it enough. You know, even in the garage, I'm like, oh, I don't want anything to fall on it, or I just worried too much. Whereas my Bandit, I don't think I've got a photograph. I'll have to show you a photograph of my old Bandit. The tank for a long time was filler primer yellow. I never got round to finishing the paint job on it, and I spilled petrol on it, so the filler, the paint had run and stuff like that. It looked terrible, but, you know, I used to ride the wheels off of it on track days, and like I'd leave it anywhere, or, you know, I'd park it in a crowd of people. It didn't bother me if someone nudged into it, because like it looked rough anyway. So, but I wouldn't say I'd intentionally say rat bike a bike, if that makes sense. But, you know, I do like a rat ride occasionally and stuff. But yeah, I'm rambling again. But yeah, so obviously he does similar stuff to me, and, you know, bits and bobs like that. But right, still not sorted the speedo. Either going to have a Coso or an R106 speedo drive and run off the back wheel. Not sure how easy Cosos are to fit. The one thing I've never done throughout the years actually is put an aftermarket speedo on a bike. I've always tried to find a way to run the standard one, because, you know, they work, or they should be working and stuff, and bits and bobs. A few people I've spoke to have said, yeah, these are really good, they're easy to fit, they work a treat, which, you know, Coso have got quite a good name for clocks. And then I've had other people like, oh, I can't get the speedo to work, and I don't think it's the clocks. It's definitely user error, I'd say. You know, whether they're not fitting it quite right or not quite getting it set up. Sorry. Oh, itchy nose. I've had horrible hay fever the last couple of days. My head is just, and my nose is itchy, my eyes are itchy. And I haven't actually sneezed in the past hour, touch wood, which has been amazing because I've been sneezing all day. But yeah, I'd definitely say read the instructions and follow them perfectly. Read them again. Make sure you've you know, followed what they've said, and in theory it should work all right. So with the Turbo Bandit, obviously I want a turbo, and that's the main part of it, but I might modify it or I might change things. Obviously I'll probably have a boost gauge and all that sort of stuff, so I'm not sure if I'll change the standard clocks or try and put the extra dials and gauges in I need, or I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. But if there's a potential to put an aftermarket clock on, I might give it a try, or I might try and just use the standard ones and add stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'm rambling again, sorry. Right, so that's it. Darren, thank you very much. Colin, Andy, Adam, Kieran, Adi. I can't pronounce your name, I do apologize. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so if I butcher any names, I'm sorry. Delimo, AD again, Colin, IBZ, 6969, Simon, Another Andrew. Paul. Hey, Paul, you're always coming. Simon in Barry Islands. And Dan. Kieran. Paul and stuff again. Paul, lots of Pauls. Keith. Hey, Keith. So, yeah, guys. Thank you all for watching. The numbers have been really cool. Thanks for giving us thumbs up. Thanks for leaving comments. They all disappear when the live video goes off and then there's no comments at it at the end. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. But thank you for listening to me ramble on for, my God, 65 minutes or so. So, yeah, it's been really cool. Thank you for all your questions. It's been really cool answering those. And, yeah, hopefully I'll have some stories soon. Some motorbike stories. Or motorcycle stories. Hopefully a few friends of mine might tell a few stories. There's probably plenty out there that most people can't tell. But yeah, if you're interested in some motorcycle stories, let me know in the comments after the video's finished, because obviously all the comments disappear. So if you'd like to hear some motorcycle stories, let me know in the comments once the video uploads itself, once it's gone live and stuff like that. So cheers, Colin. Good to hear you're watching from all that way. One of our further away viewers. So yeah, awesome stuff. Right. Yeah. So until next time, we'll see you later.